I'm Maumi Chatterton. I work in student affairs at Stevenson. I've actually been here 22 years. So let's get started. So what I'm here to talk about is change. And I'm going to talk about an epiphany that happened. Oh, look, now this mic's on. I'm going to talk about an epiphany that happened in a previous life. My first husband was in the Navy, and the Navy life is all about change. We moved 11 times in 9 years, including a tour in Japan, a tour in San Diego, Newport, Rhode Island, and Jacksonville, Florida. While living in Virginia Beach, Virginia, I met my best friend. Her husband was also in the Navy. We both had babies. My son was 18 months old. Her daughter was 10 months old. We really hit it off, and we literally spent all of our time together. As is the Navy life, after 3 years, we moved to Monterey, California, as my first husband was going to postgraduate school. We lived on base. We lived on base with other families who had spouses that were going to school. It was fine, but I missed my friend. I had my husband, but he was studying all the time. I had my son. I actually had a baby right after we moved to Monterey, but I missed my friend. I found that I wasn't connecting with any of the neighborhood people. I wasn't clicking anywhere. I found myself getting lonely and sad and just counting down the days and trying to figure out when would we move somewhere where we could all be in the same duty station again. So one Sunday, I went to church, and the chaplain's theme was change. And he was talking about his last duty station, which was Guam. Now, he and his wife were from the Midwest, and they were now stationed in Guam, and they were really struggling with this assignment. And they lived in a Quonset hut. A Quonset hut is kind of like living in half of a soup can. There were lots of critters. The weather was crazy. There were lizards. There were lizards everywhere. They hated their life. They were miserable. They hadn't made a lot of friends. The first 6 months were really difficult. So they finally sat down and they talked about their options. Now, they couldn't move. Everybody lived in a Quonset hut. They couldn't leave their job. He was committed to the Navy. He was committed to his career. She could move home to the States, but they didn't want to live separately. So what could they change? What they could change was their attitude. They decided to be committed to where they were. They decided to be present. He talked about that choice that they made. They reached out to churches in the community to meet people and to find projects that they could help with, because that was something that was very close to their heart. They made a commitment to explore Guam, to learn about the island, to learn about the people and the food, to get to know Guam and share that experience with their kids. They bought things to brighten up their hut, because they were living in half of a tin can. They decided to do all of these things. And ultimately, when they left, they were sad to leave Guam. They made forever friends. They had wonderful experiences and brought back amazing art. Their children were now multilingual. Making that choice, making that change, changed their life. So that sermon was my epiphany. I came back and thought about what were my options. I couldn't change my neighbors. They were who they were. I couldn't change where we were stationed. This was where we were going to be right now. I couldn't change my husband's workload at the time. He was studying and getting his master's degree. What could I change? I could change my attitude. I could change how I was living my life. So I reached out to the local magazine because I love to write, ultimately writing 2 columns and becoming the editor. I love to sing. I always wanted to sing for the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. So I joined the church choir. I also started to plan day trips. I started to plan trips locally to vineyards in different places. And with my husband, we made a commitment that one day every weekend we would spend with the family doing something, exploring and spending time as a family. That actually evolved into Sunday Family Day, which I still do to this day with my adult children. So all of these things made Monterey closer to me. We ended up joining a group that helped strengthen our marriage. Yes, he is my ex-husband. But I do believe that that experience helped make our divorce better and keeps us friends today. I still missed my friend. I still talk to her frequently. She moved, as is the Navy way, and continued to find her way in different spaces. And we continue that friendship even today. But making that choice changed everything for me. And I continue that epiphany even today. I try to be present. I often talk to students, and that's why I decided to do this talk. I talk to students about being present. How often I ask a student, how's it going? And the student looks at me and says, I wish it was spring break. I wish it was May. I just wish it was over. And my answer is always, don't wish your life away. Be present. Be in today. We all have bad days. We all have bad weeks. Even I do. But I always stop to look at the sky out of the giant window next to my desk. I stop and look at the sunset when I'm skiing. I'll call my son or my daughter to see how their day has been. My therapy is music and dancing. I do it all the time, even in the kitchen. And I cook. After a really long day, I come home and I throw myself into preparation for dinner, and I find great joy in sitting down to dinner and watching my partner or my family enjoy what I cook. I try to be present. I try not to spend too much time worrying. I can't worry about the past. There's nothing you can do about it. Try not to worry about the future, because really you can't do anything about that either. Be present. Look at today. Make today the best you can. Be helpful. Be friendly. Talk to people. Enjoy the odd, funny, quirky, bizarre things that just happen around you. You can always find those moments. Tell people that they make you happy, that they're smart, that they look great today, that they're special to you. Because the reality is you don't know when you won't be able to tell them that. Family circus cartoonist Bill Keane said, yesterday is the past, tomorrow is the future, today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Be present. Change is going to happen. People will tell you you can't control change, but there is a change you can control, and that's the change inside you. The choices you make to be present, the choices you make to be in the world today, the choices you make to get through your day. That's a change you can control. So I ask you to be present and to enjoy today.